The girl once told a boy that she found him fascinating because he had the perfect balance of freakiness, reason, honesty, rather than aimless chaos. While the boy took it as an insult, she insisted it was a compliment. She then asked if he desired power. Hesitant at first, he admitted he couldn't refuse such a temptation. When she rephrased, asking if he wanted more magic, his enthusiastic yes revealed his eagerness. The boy suddenly awoke to a maid gently caring for him. He realized he had been asleep at a table. Confused, he noticed he was at an extravagant party. The last thing he remembered was having a drink after work. Unsure of his surroundings, he stumbled toward a mirror. What he saw made him scream as he suddenly turned into a child. His outburst drew the attention of the guests, and a man reminded him that while he was the fifth son, he was still part of the esteemed Hamilton family and should behave accordingly. The maid beside him mentioned the Earl was in good spirits because after having many sons, he had finally been blessed with a daughter. She urged Liam to enjoy his sister's celebration. Bewildered, Liam questioned if this was all a dream. But when he awoke again in the same young body, he realized it wasn't. The maid knocked on his door, bringing him clothes. While being dressed, Liam pieced together that he was in the body of Liam Hamilton, the fifth son of the Earl. Yesterday's event was a celebration for the Earl's newborn daughter. However, Liam had no idea why he was in this situation. After dressing, he stepped out onto a balcony and marveled at the vast estate. The maid informed him that all the land he saw belonged to the Hamilton family. Liam soon met Bruno, the fourth son, who spoke of the family's future. Bruno wanted their sister to marry into royalty to secure the Hamilton standing, while their father and eldest brother, Albrecht, were working hard to keep the family from losing their noble status. Liam learned that noble families were required to achieve something noteworthy every 3 generations to maintain their position, and the Hamiltons were on the verge of being stripped of theirs. And so Bruno warned his younger brother to start thinking about the future, even though he was only 12 years old. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a tutor, announcing it was time for magic lessons. Liam, excited, eagerly asked if magic was part of their studies. Bruno found his enthusiasm odd, but mentioned the family had grimoires in their library. He also reminded Liam not to get his hopes up, as only 1 in 100 people had a magical affinity. Nonetheless, the tutor encouraged them to learn the basics. After the lesson, Liam rushed to the maid and asked to see the grimoires. She took him to a vast library where he eagerly explored the shelves. Selecting a beginner's fire magic grimoire, he studied it and managed to conjure a small flame on his fingertip. The maid praised him, amazed at his rare talent. Filled with excitement, Liam asked his father for permission to take more books from the library. But his father acted like he wasn't even there and granted his request without much thought. Returning to his room, Liam immersed himself in his studies. He quickly grasped the flame cutter spell and within a month could perform it without the grimoire. He demonstrated this to Bruno, who was astonished by his rapid progress. Normally, it took a year for someone to achieve such results. Bruno, curious, examined the grimoire for hidden secrets, but found nothing unusual. Realizing Liam had a natural talent for magic, Bruno advised him to be careful not to draw Albrecht's curiosity. Having mastered the fire spells, Liam eagerly moved on to ice magic. But one day, the Earl summoned him to demonstrate his skills. Liam showcased both fire and ice spells without the use of books, impressing his father, who finally seemed pleased with him. The Earl promised him access to any grimoire he wanted. However, the conversation was interrupted by urgent business, leaving Liam frustrated but determined to continue his magical studies. Later, Liam encountered a man who asked about his identity. However, upon learning that Liam was a Hamilton, the man encouraged him to follow his own path. The stranger, noticing Liam's grimoire, explained that constant practice was the key to mastering magic but hinted at a faster way. Curious, Liam watched as the man conjured a different element on each of his fingers, igniting a new spark of ambition within the boy. The boy was captivated and asked how it was possible to wield magic in such a unique way. So the mysterious man instructed Liam to draw a circle on the ground with his right hand and a square with his left simultaneously. When Liam performed the task flawlessly, the stranger revealed that this coordination was the essence of what he wanted to teach. He then challenged Liam to use 2 different spells at the same time. Concentrating, Liam conjured Flame Cutter with his right hand and a Fireball with his left. When he released both simultaneously, even the man was impressed. This rare technique, called Mystic, could only be mastered by 1 in a million. The man then raised the stakes, asking Liam to summon 3 spells simultaneously. Liam attempted Flame Cutter, Fireball, and Boiling Ground, but the spells fizzled out quickly. Thinking he failed, he was surprised when the man declared it a success. The only thing missing was sufficient magical energy, as the technique consumed a vast amount. To help Liam control his magic, the man drew prime members on the ground, explaining that this method worked only with primes. He warned Liam that once he reached the 4th simultaneous spell, challenges would arise as it corresponded to the number 7. Similarly, higher primes like 13 and 17 would create significant hurdles. Demonstrating his own skill, the man cast 13 spells at once and declared that to surpass his current limit of 16 would require incredible magical reserves. Impressed by Liam's progress and his age of only 12, the man predicted a bright future for him, emphasizing that youth and the willingness to learn were powerful weapons. As a reward, he handed Liam a magical ring called Magipedia, which contained hundreds of grimoires. When Liam slipped it on, he felt a rush of over 300 spells flooding his mind. Overcome with excitement, he quickly tested a wind spell. However, when he turned to thank his teacher, the man had vanished. Moments later, the maid arrived, scolding Liam for wandering so far because a suspicious figure had been spotted in Hamilton territory. She then handed him a beginner's conjuring grimoire on behalf of the Earl and urged him to return to the mansion soon. As the maid left, the teacher reappeared, explaining he'd hidden himself with an invisibility spell. Knowing he couldn't stay long, he decided to teach Liam one final lesson. He instructed Liam to open the grimoire and use the ring to conjure a creature. Liam turned to the page featuring a fire salamander and summoned it. The creature emerged briefly before vanishing into the grimoire. The man explained that the Magipedia absorbed the contents of books, allowing Liam to wield their spells without carrying them physically. Though Liam hesitated to accept such a powerful item, the teacher assured him it was merely a convenience, not a treasure. Liam practiced summoning additional creatures before realizing the man had disappeared again, leaving behind a message telling him to continue studying magic and that they'll meet again someday. He also told Liam to not tell anyone about him. Despite their short time together and never learning the man's name, Liam regarded him as his master. A month later, Liam's magical skills had advanced significantly. Bruno visited him in the forest and noticed that Liam had created white coal which burned hotter, produced no smoke, and lasted longer than regular coal. Liam had also crafted crystals that restored magical energy. Impressed by his brother's progress, Bruno praised him, confident that Liam could thrive independently. Bruno revealed his plan to marry a capable woman to secure his future and shared the dark history of their father's desperation. The Earl, hoping for a daughter to secure a royal marriage, was devastated when Liam was born. In his despair, the Earl sent 1,000 men to slay a powerful monster sealed in the land. The campaign ended in disaster, with 90% of the forces lost, leaving the Hamiltons on the brink of ruin. Bruno urged Liam to prepare for a life outside the Hamilton estate. Taking his brother's advice, Liam began selling his crafted items, earning enough to support himself. One day, while eating ramen, he noticed its popularity and devised a plan. Using magic, he created a recipe for instant ramen, dry noodles mixed with sauce, boiled with hot water. Excited to sell his invention, Liam approached a merchant only to learn that Albrecht, the eldest Hamilton's son, had forbidden any business without his approval. Frustrated but determined, Liam considered leaving the estate to pursue his ambitions. Liam conjured a magical inventory to store his resources and attempted a self-summoning spell, successfully creating a clone of himself. He sent the clone beyond the Hamilton lands to sell his goods. The inventory allowed both versions of Liam to access shared resources, with the original producing items while the clones sold them. This arrangement ensured Liam could operate outside his family's restrictions. Confident in his plan, Liam believed his independence was now within reach. Liam found his duplicate's ability to mimic his spells invaluable for magic practice, effectively doubling the damage of his attacks. During one session, his older brother Albrecht arrived to check on Liam's progress. Albrecht asked Liam what he aspired to be when he grew up. Sensing potential trouble, Liam quickly clarified that he had no intention of taking the eldest position. Instead, he expressed his desire to become independent and secure a job that would ensure he could eat well. Albrecht decided to introduce Liam to the Hunters Guild. Upon arrival, the hunters mocked Liam for being a child. Ignoring their jeers, Liam approached the receptionist, who recognized him as Albrecht's younger brother. The receptionist explained that Liam needed to pass a test to join the guild, though his status would make it somewhat easier. Asked to demonstrate a mastered spell, Liam admitted he didn't know any incantations. The receptionist pulled him to attack directly. Despite his illusion magic weakening the spell, Liam's attack left everyone stunned due to its unusual nature. After a brief hesitation from the test supervisor, Liam was granted a B-rank license. As he left, an energetic girl named Asuna approached, recognizing him as a Hamilton. She invited him to join her for group hunts, which Liam accepted, drawn to her lively personality. They skipped taking a mission and headed out. Asuna explained that B-rank hunters typically hunted wild creatures like wolves, while A-ranks handled formal jobs. However, they were soon outnumbered by wolves, and Asuna realized they were in trouble. Liam used his gnome magic to summon creatures that swelled the wolves' jaws shut, immobilizing them. With the wolves incapacitated, Asuna finished the fight. Back at the guild, the pair impressed the hunters with their haul of 42 wolves, earning them a job offer from the guild chief. The task was to defeat a giant caterpillar before an important figure's arrival. On the way, Liam explained that monsters like the caterpillar contained magic stones, granting them powers far beyond those of ordinary beasts. Despite their efforts, none of their attacks could pierce the caterpillar's armor, and they were forced to retreat, frustrated and exhausted. Asuna muttered in irritation that a meteor should just crush the creature. Inspired by her comment, Liam devised a plan. In their next encounter, Asuna distracted the monster while Liam retrieved a massive boulder from his item box and dropped it on the caterpillar, killing it and shocking everyone, including Asuna. When they returned to the guild, it caused a stir by bringing back not one but 2 caterpillar carcasses. Liam explained that he had used his enemy search spell to locate the second one. Impressed by their achievement, the guild chief rewarded them with 5 times the original payment. A few days later, Albrecht visited Liam, commending his performance and saying he had been right to recommend him to the guild. After Albrecht left, Asuna admitted she disliked his attitude, while Liam silently noted his brother's dismissive behavior toward her family. Pushing those thoughts aside, they prepared to meet an important guest, the reason they had cleared the caterpillars. When the man arrived, Asuna grew eager, hoping this was her chance to rise in rank. The man showed a particular interest in Liam, requesting a private meeting. In the conversation, the man introduced himself as James Stanley and was surprised to learn that Liam was the son of Charles Hamilton. He then questioned Liam about his connection to Raymond. Liam was puzzled when the old man, James Stanley, explained that the ring Liam was wearing belonged to Raymond. He wanted to know if Liam had killed the mage and stolen it. Distressed by the accusation, Liam stood up and firmly declared that the ring had been a gift from his master. James chuckled, remarking that it was typical of Raymond to land in trouble yet still find it dissipable. He then instructed Simon, his butler, to remain still and ordered Liam to demonstrate his strongest spell on him. Although taken aback by the unusual request, Liam complied. Simon raised a magical shield and Liam focused on his incantations. He had discovered that chanting specific names temporarily amplified his mana, so he chose Amelia, and Claudia. After chanting, he fired 11 magical missiles, with the last one shattering Simon's shield and striking him. Impressed, James announced that he would knight Liam, granting him independence, leaving Liam speechless. James explained there wasn't much else for Liam to do, the freedom from his older brother should suffice. He also hinted that the Earl might have mixed feelings, likely wanting to use Liam's talents for the family's benefit. Aware of this, Liam felt uneasy. James reassured him that his accomplishments would still reflect positively on the Hamilton name. The old man then joked about Raymond's penchant for pranks, asking if Liam had fallen for any. Liam recalled a time when Raymond instructed the item box to absorb an entire lake. Among the collected items, Liam found a waterproof letter. It revealed that if Liam was reading it, he had mastered the item box since it couldn't absorb gold bars. The letter mentioned that Raymond had scattered 100 kilograms of gold particles in the lake as a graduation test. Initially, Liam believed this was because Raymond had created the gold himself, but James suggested it was a mere distraction, with the true gift hidden nearby. Determined, Liam used the item box to absorb the lake again, this time replenishing it only with the gold particles. The gold activated a magical circle, revealing a hidden underground passage. Inside, Liam discovered a book beside another letter from Raymond. "This is your true graduation gift, a grimoire of advanced spells. I couldn't use it, but I hope you can." Opening the book titled Otherworld, Liam struggled all day to master a spell from it. As night fell, he summoned a low-level light spirit as a lamp, determined to perfect the spell by carefully following the grimoire's steps. Returning to the secret passage later, Liam successfully summoned a portal using Otherworld magic. Stepping through, he found himself in a pure white cubicle and realized the spell created a pocket dimension. Its size depended on the caster's skill and mana. Only the summoner could enter, but once mastered, the space could store items or house living beings. Grateful, Liam silently thanked his master. A month later, while battling a giant frog with Asuna, Liam realized that fire spells were ineffective. He quickly pulled Asuna into the portal to shield them from the frog's electric attack. After waiting for the surge to subside, they launched a combined attack and defeated the monster. Returning to the guild with a magical stone from the frog, they impressed the branch chief. However, Asuna felt overshadowed by Liam's growing power and feared being left behind. The chief suggested she become Liam's servant to evolve her familiar skill. Though hesitant, Liam agreed and Asuna placed her full trust in him. The contract granted her a special ability, Speedster. To test her new skill, Asuna brought Liam to veteran hunter Jody, who demonstrated her own ability by regenerating an injured man's arm. Days later, James Stanley informed Liam that Princess Scarlet wanted to meet him, having been impressed by his feats. However, Liam declined to showcase his familiars, saying they weren't performers for entertainment. Unbeknownst to him, Princess Scarlet had disguised herself as a maid and was curious if Liam would still refuse her in person. The following day, Liam arrives at the mansion of the powerful Princess Scarlet, transported by carriage. He is immediately struck by the sheer number of soldiers guarding the entrance, a testament to her high status. Inside the throne room, Liam introduces himself as Scarlet orders a chair for her guest. Without hesitation, she asks how he managed to defeat the carnivorous caterpillar pillars and the giant frog. Liam, seeing no reason to withhold the details, recounts his story. Scarlet is intrigued, learning for the first time that someone has slain a giant frog without resorting to high-level magic. She turns to James Stanley for confirmation, and he admits that such feats are unheard of, as powerful spells are usually required. Changing the topic, Scarlet requests to see Liam's familiars. Feeling the immense authority radiating from her, Liam hesitates but ultimately declines, unwilling to parade his companions for entertainment. Scarlet's smile fades as she questions his defiance, but Liam stands firm, explaining that he values his familiars too much to make them a spectacle. Amused by his resolve, Scarlet bursts into laughter and rewards him with the title of Baron. Confused, Liam remarks that he has done nothing to deserve such an honor. The princess dismisses his concerns, stating that entertaining her twice is worth more than arranging a marriage alliance. As an additional gift, she grants him a familiar contract grimoire. Overwhelmed with joy, Liam cherishes the book far more than the noble title, piquing Scarlet's curiosity. After the meeting, Liam studies his new grimoire, realizing that without mastering its contents, his familiar contracts would be at risk of dissolution. Shortly after, his brother Bruno congratulates him on his new title, humorously noting that Albrecht must be livid. Indeed, Liam's achievement as a self-made noble surpasses their father's inherited status, highlighting the nation's distinction between earned and inherited nobility. Later that evening, as Liam returns home, Albrecht crosses paths with him in the corridor, cryptically warning him to be prepared for what's to come. Alone, Albrecht reflects bitterly on how his younger brother has been garnering so much attention. Even the household maids whispering about Liam's accomplishments irritate him. Frustrated, he confronts them, demanding to know who they think is superior. Terrified, they affirm that Albrecht is the best, but their insincerity does little to soothe his wounded pride. Determined, Albrecht vows to achieve something remarkable. The next morning, Liam is the talk of the kingdom, his familiars enchanting everyone with their beauty. Jody, one of his familiars, refers to him as Master, confusing Liam, who insists she call him by his name. Despite his preference, Asuna remarks that he exudes the air of a master. Taking the moment, Jody admits that being near him makes her heart race, earning jealous glares from nearby onlookers. Afterward, Liam asks his familiars if they are willing to form a group, and the three seal their agreement with a handshake. In the forest, Jody impressively shoots a wolf with her arrow, while Asuna takes down another with her sword. Liam praises their progress, noting Jody's improved precision. She marvels at her heightened vision, which is crucial for an archer. Hearing this, Liam enhances her sight further with this spell, enabling her to see even greater distances. When Asuna requests a similar enhancement, Liam hesitates, explaining that increasing her attack power would place excessive strain on her body. However, enhancing her vision poses no risk, so he obliges, much to her delight. With her improved sight, Jody shoots a wolf from an incredible distance, and both familiars shower Liam with praise for his magic. Later that day, the trio returns to the Hunters Guild, where a commotion is underway. Asuna inquires about the cause, and a bystander explains that Albrecht, Liam's older brother, has caused a disaster. Another man shouts that after breaking the seal, Albrecht failed miserably. Recalling Albrecht's earlier words, Liam blames himself and hurries to the scene. In the forest, injured soldiers are being carried away. Liam finds Albrecht weakened and tries to check on him, but his brother, consumed by fear and frustration, screams that he will not fail. The guild master of hunters intervenes, striking Albrecht on the back and declaring that he will no longer support this pointless rivalry between young nobles. Although Liam insists he shares responsibility for the situation, the guild master dismisses his guilt. Curious, Asuna asks about the source of the chaos. The guild master explains that the demon dragon Raiden, sealed by Liam's great-grandfather, has been partially unsealed. Though the adult dragon remains weakened from its long confinement, its offspring, the Raiden Juniors, are wreaking havoc. The guild master reveals plans to reseal Raiden before it regains its full strength, but warns that the task is complicated by the offspring's interference. As if on cue, the three dragon hatchlings appear near their father, effortlessly overpowering the remaining warriors. The young dragons were roughly the size of medium-sized dogs and shouldn't pose much of a threat. Confident, she attacked one, but the hatchling retaliated by spewing fire, instantly incinerating an entire tree. Alarmed, Asuna retreated. As a precaution, Liam cast 7 magic missiles, but the 3 dragons countered his attack effortlessly with their flames. Realizing they were outmatched, Jody urged the group to retreat immediately. Liam, acknowledging the dragon's unexpected strength, told Asuna to grab Jody and use her sprinter ability to flee. As they escaped, Liam summoned his item box, retrieved his grimoire, and recited an incantation. A portal to another dimension materialized, and he hurled the dragons inside. Exhausted, he knelt down, catching his breath, grateful to have narrowly survived. Moments later, the guild master approached, impressed by Liam's ability to deal with the Raiden Juniors. With the immediate threat resolved, the kingdom's mages united to begin sealing the demon dragon Raiden. Meanwhile, Asuna and Jody returned to Liam, curious about the spell he had used. Liam explained that it was the Another World ability, designed to create an alternate dimension capable of storing living creatures. Despite its utility, activating the spell was complex, and anything placed inside would eventually vanish as Liam hadn't fully mastered it. Asuna, knowing it wasn't an attack spell, praised Liam's ingenuity in trapping the dragons. Suddenly, a disembodied voice addressed Liam, calling him the tiny human with a great soul. In an instant, Liam found himself face-to-face with Raiden, the demon dragon. Raiden seemed amused by Liam's title, dismissing the importance of human definitions. He was far more intrigued by the boy's unusual essence, noting that Liam's soul and body were not aligned. This revelation made Liam suspect that Raiden had discovered his secret, that he was an adult soul inhabiting a young body. Reading his thoughts, Raiden confirmed he didn't know the cause of Liam's condition, but expressed interest in observing his life up close. The dragon promised to lend Liam strength without interfering excessively, allowing him to grow on his own merits. Sensing no hostility, Liam agreed, and Raiden declared he would rent Liam's great soul for a time. As the dragon merged with him, Liam noticed a red mark appearing on his palm, signifying their bond. To test his newfound abilities, Liam fired magic missiles into the air, amazed to see them launch without an incantation. When he recited the spell, he conjured 17 perfectly controlled missiles, a feat far beyond his previous capabilities. However, the sudden surge of mana affected nearby mages, causing them to weaken. Ren, a senior mage, urged Liam to contain his mana output. Interestingly, Asuna and Jody remained unaffected, likely due to their connection to Liam. The guildmaster later thanked Liam for handling the Raiden Juniors. To everyone's surprise, Liam summoned his item box again and poured out 10 kilograms of gold dust as compensation for the trouble, allocating the largest share to the injured. Amused, the master remarked that if Liam were head of the Hamilton family instead of Albrecht, things would be far better. When Charles, Liam's father, arrived, he expressed gratitude for Liam's efforts in resolving the crisis caused by Albrecht. Liam inquired about his brother's fate, and Charles explained that Albrecht would be confined at home for some time. Liam knew expulsion could have been a harsher punishment. Charles also mentioned that Lord James was still in town, and that Liam's heroic deeds would soon be recognized nationwide, likely earning him a reward. Despite this, Liam felt guilty about Albrecht's predicament and stood outside his brother's room, unsure of what to say. Inside, Albrecht was fuming, lamenting that Liam, who wasn't even the true heir, had defeated the demon dragon, a task he believed should have been his. Overhearing this, Liam decided not to speak, realizing that Albrecht's bitterness stemmed from a desire to protect the Hamilton family's honor. That night, Liam dreamed of practicing new spells, likely gifts from Raiden. Excited, he rushed to the forest at dawn to train. Hours later, he mastered a spell that radiated a sensation similar to Another World and even managed to summon a Raiden Jr. Just then, Princess Scarlet arrived, impressed by the holy magic Liam had used to resolve the dragon crisis. She awarded him the third-class Phoenix insignia, a prestigious honor marking the birth of a new hero. However, to officially receive the decoration, Liam needed to share the story of his victory. After recounting the events, Scarlet unexpectedly instructed him never to tell anyone else about what happened. Confused but obedient, Liam agreed, leaving the mystery of her command unresolved. The next day, Liam found himself in a difficult situation when James Stanley directly asked whether he had mastered sacred magic. Scarlet had paid Liam to keep quiet, but it was clear he was struggling to answer. Sensing Liam's hesitation, James pointed out that his youth, combined with the princess's generous reward, only made things seem more suspicious. While slaying a dragon was already enough to earn Liam nobility, the fact that Scarlet had failed to report back to the king raised further doubts about her actions. Hearing this, Liam broke into a cold sweat as James revealed that witnesses had claimed the massive demon dragon transformed into light and was absorbed by a mere boy. James then admitted that he had secretly learned some sacred magic and demonstrated a beginner spell called All Clear, which could remove ailments such as poison or petrification. Impressed by its divine nature, James went on to explain the legend of the Three Dragons, a war in which sacred magic allowed one dragon to ally with a human and establish the kingdom of Jamel. Now that Raiden was allied with Liam, James feared that history was repeating itself, leaving him uneasy about what the future might bring. The Hamilton family's noble status was based on their role in sealing a demon dragon, but in reality their lineage was tied to the kingdom's founder, not the dragon itself. If the truth were exposed, they could lose their title, and worse, the dragon might seek vengeance for its wrongful imprisonment. However, Liam recalled Raiden's words, "I don't care about labels. They'll change anyway," and felt reassured that the dragon held no grudge against humanity. Raiden had shown genuine care for him, which led James to see Liam as the kingdom's potential savior. Afterward, the Baron realized he should have practiced time-consuming spells for emergencies. Back in town, Liam encountered his relatives at the guild, where adventurers were celebrating his dragon-slaying feat. Jody assured him that she would keep him informed, and Asuna handed him a list of potential party members. Overwhelmed by the number of names, Liam was warned that many sought to take advantage of his newfound fame. Upon returning home, he found himself bombarded with hundreds of marriage proposals. His brother teased him for being late in presenting a proposal from his fiancée's relative, whom he had persuaded Liam to marry. Bruno questioned why Liam had suddenly become so popular, and Liam simply responded that it was because he had defeated a demon dragon. However, Bruno remained skeptical, pointing out that even wealthy families were eager to form connections with him. Remembering James' warning, Liam realized that his sudden rise in status might cause trouble in the future. Later, Liam showed his relatives a spell called Otherworld, transporting them to a house built on the other side of a portal. The house had been constructed by the city's carpenters and stored in the Baron's box. Asuna asked if the house would disappear when the spell ended, referencing Raiden Jr.'s, but Liam explained that he had fully mastered the spell, making it permanent. He then gave his friends a tour of the cozy portable home. Jody inquired about lighting, as the space lacked a natural day-night cycle. Liam summoned a low-level shadow spirit, Shade, to darken the area, but the space turned completely pitch black. To fix this, he summoned a fire spirit to light the fireplace. When Jody requested brighter lighting, Liam explained the limitations of the shadow spirit. Asuna mused that it would be amazing if spirits could grow like humans, inspiring Liam to activate a familiar contract spell with Shade. As a result, Shade grew larger, gained a voice, and thanked Liam for the chance to evolve to a medium-level spirit. To show gratitude, Shade transformed the surroundings into a beautifully dark nightscape and vowed unwavering loyalty to Liam. Liam admitted that he hadn't yet learned medium-level spirit summoning, but Shade noted that the boy's ring was an ancient artifact capable of storing such spells with practice. Encouraged by this, Liam stored Shade and proceeded to evolve Salamander, a fire spirit. Using the familiar spell, he also advanced the spirits of water, earth, wind, light, and ice to medium level, recording them in his Magicpedia. Excited by his newfound abilities, Liam eagerly set out to refine his spells. The next day, at Raiden's request, he ventured into the forest where the dragon rested. There he summoned one of Raiden's offspring and witnessed reality shift, unveiling a hidden realm filled with fairies and meadows blooming with flowers. Alarmed by the presence of a human, the fairies scattered in fear. Quickly, Liam assured them he wasn't an enemy, explaining that Raiden had sent him. To prove his allegiance, he presented Flynn, the dragon, by his side. Realizing Liam served the dragon god, the fairies relaxed. He further explained that Raiden had entrusted him with their protection as fairy wings, highly prized for crafting magical artifacts, made them vulnerable to extinction. While Raiden's seal had once shielded them, the responsibility now rested with Liam. Following Raiden's guidance, Liam prepared a spell to safeguard the fairies, explaining that naming them during the process would strengthen the magic. He named one fairy Reina, who immediately evolved into an elf, her mana amplified by their bond. Raiden clarified that naming familiars during the contracting process enhanced their power, so Liam continued naming the fairies. Each transformed into an elf, and they began addressing him as Lord Messenger. Reina, now his familiar, sought guidance. Liam suggested they build a village and appointed her as the chief. As construction began, Liam sensed a strong mana presence deeper in the forest. There, he discovered a glowing fruit hanging from a tree. When he asked Reina about it, she explained that fairies gather ambient mana and concentrate it into such fruits. Raiden taught Liam that consuming the fruit would restore his mana. Upon eating it, Liam felt fully rejuvenated. Testing his power, he cast magical missiles, summoning 19 more projectiles than his usual limit. The next day, he returned to the budding village, where Reina greeted him as Lord Messenger. However, Liam requested she simply call him by his name. She informed the other elves, who showed him their progress in building houses, though it was clear they struggled, not being skilled masons. Suddenly, they heard screams. An elf was being attacked by a group of looters who had appeared in the aftermath of the demon dragon's defeat. Liam intervened, using his magical missiles to drive off the bandits. Realizing the area was too dangerous, he decided to shelter everyone within his otherworld spell. To his surprise, the space had expanded, likely due to the fairy nectar he had consumed. For their safety, he teleported the elves into this alternate world. Grateful for his protection, the elves asked Liam to become their king. While he declined the title, he agreed to lead and support them, accepting the responsibilities that came with their trust. Recognizing the need for proper housing, Liam spent the following days preparing a large pot of pasta for the community, while also practicing a high-level holy spell Raiden had taught him. After 4 days of persistent effort, he finally succeeded in activating the spell. Raiden then explained that Liam needed only to focus on his desired destination to teleport there. When Liam confirmed he had visualized his goal, he effortlessly transported the elves 100 kilometers away to a place known as the Sealed Lands. Once there, Raiden instructed Liam to raise his hand. This action broke an illusionary seal, revealing a vast, untouched expanse, an ideal location for founding a new nation. Liam's first task was to summon a water spirit and form a contract with her, creating a flowing river to provide a water source for the settlers. As he continued improving his summoning and teleportation skills, he gained the ability to teleport instantly. With these achievements, Liam left the elves under Raiden's protection and went to meet Princess Scarlet. Scarlet inquired about the Promised Land, and Liam explained that Raiden had only referred to it as the Sealed Lands. Scarlet then revealed a royal relic, the Key of Destiny. When she accidentally activated it, the land itself began to levitate. Realizing they had discovered the true Promised Land, Scarlet bowed to Liam and asked him to establish a new nation. Recognizing his duty, Liam began his work in the region with the aid of a seasoned engineer from the royal court. Meanwhile, the mage honed his abilities, mastering the ability to unleash 17 magic missiles simultaneously, along with the Holy Spirit's spell, which inflicted devastating damage. With this power, Liam eradicated the monster threats in the area. Scarlet, impressed by his skill, insisted that he call her by name rather than Your Highness, as she now served him, not the other way around. Liam protested, believing that a princess of her standing shouldn't lower herself to such a position, but Scarlet explained that her mother had dragon blood and that women from her lineage often married into royalty. Her true wish was to serve the dragon god Raiden. Raiden then directed Liam to travel a kilometer north, where something awaited Scarlet's interest. Upon arrival, it discovered what seemed to be an ancient ruin. Inside, as Raiden explained, stood a guardian shaped in the image of a god, one that humans had to defeat. Liam inquired about how to overcome it, and Raiden revealed that its name was inscribed on its head in an ancient language. By erasing a single letter, the inscription would change, forcing the guardian into obedience. Without hesitation, Scarlet identified the second letter from the right. Acting quickly, Liam flew up and cast a spell to erase it. Now under Scarlet's command, due to her dragon blood, the guardian was entrusted to her care as she tended to its injuries caused by Liam's magic. Even after this event, Liam found it strange to have a princess serving him. Raiden believed that the mage needed to gain more power and prestige to feel worthy of such a dynamic. After their conversation, Liam returned to the village only to find it nearly destroyed. The elves rushed to him, reporting a sudden werewolf attack. Just as they finished speaking, a pack of werewolves emerged, demanding that the outsiders leave their sacred land or be torn apart. Liam attempted to negotiate, but the werewolf leader attacked before he could say a word. Liam barely dodged and retaliated with a shock spell, momentarily paralyzing his attacker. Regaining his composure, he reiterated his desire for peace but summoned a junior Raiden as a precaution. The werewolves, known for expelling intruders, were taken aback by the dragon's presence. At Raiden's urging, Liam explained that the elves were under the dragon god's protection. Feeling guilty for the destruction they had caused, the werewolf leader hesitated. Reina, showing empathy, pointed out that they all served the same god and suggested that the werewolves pledge loyalty to Master Leon Raiden. Liam, caught off guard by this unexpected proposal, allowed events to unfold. The werewolves agreed and the humans signed a contract with their leader, a wolf named Chris. Despite having a deep voice, Chris, to Liam's surprise, turned out to be female. After evolving into a humanoid wolf hybrid, she took responsibility for restoring the village from the damage her pack had caused. Liam considered using magic to speed up the repairs but lacked an appropriate spell. Raiden suggested he create one. Inspired, Liam followed the dragon's advice, focusing on the desired outcome. Knowing that magic always had consequences, he cast Maintain Memory on a wooden beam and asked Chris to break it. She snapped it in half, but the beam instantly repaired itself. Impressed, Chris excitedly hugged Liam while Raiden commented on his remarkable abilities. Now able to create spells, Liam enhanced his magic missiles into power missiles. Raiden encouraged him to continue innovating, stressing the importance of building a nation to expand his knowledge. As Liam settled into his new territory, he naturally gained more insight. Fascinated by the origins of magic, he pondered who had first created it. If nothing existed at the beginning, what had sparked its creation? Could spells be formed without a cause? Raiden chuckled at his curiosity, amused by the mage's musings. However, their conversation was cut short when Rina arrived, reporting that humans were attacking the fairies. Liam rushed to the scene, only to be met by a battalion of knights who mocked him and demanded the name of his nation. Unable to provide an answer, Liam dismissed the knights' demands as nonsense, hoping they would leave. When they refused, he fired 17 power missiles as a warning. One soldier attempted to attack, but Liam swiftly teleported behind each knight, knocking them off their horses before ordering them never to return. On his way back, he reassured the villagers that the threat had been dealt with. Reina then revealed that the fairies had fled to the village for protection after humans destroyed their homeland. Now seeking sanctuary, each fairy required a formal agreement, so they patiently lined up. At one point, Liam struggled to come up with names for them, but with determination, pushed through. This, at the very least, expanded his workforce, accelerating the development of his mystical domain. Meanwhile, the commander presented his most trusted confidant with a relic, the fallen knight's helm, asking if she recognized it. Scarlet immediately identified it as belonging to the Principality of Palta, a neighboring territory of the Promised Land, along with Jumil and Quistador. She warned that reinforcements were likely on their way, as these regions, once divided by a valley, were now connected. Despite the looming danger, Scarlet remained steadfast in her ambition to establish a kingdom which required land, citizens, and authority. Liam already controlled territory, and his population continued to grow. Only true strength remained. Chris vowed to defend the Promised Land at all costs, while Scarlet urged Liam to crush any would-be invaders so decisively that they would be forced to negotiate instead. However, everything took an unexpected turn the next day when Leonardo Berkeley, a noble from Jomil, arrived with shocking news. King Lorenzo Tkai sought an alliance with Liam and even proposed Princess Scarlet's hand in marriage as a gesture of goodwill. Uncertain how to respond, Liam used telepathy to consult Scarlet. She insisted he accept, believing the marriage would grant them 6 months to prepare. Liam agreed, but negotiated for a full year to strengthen his kingdom and prove himself. Satisfied, Leonardo departed to relay the decision. Liam then reunited with his clone and teleported to Scarlet's mansion in the royal capital, which appeared even grander than Hamilton. Scarlet confirmed his identity and reminded him to remain discreet as a ruler. While they had tea, Liam sensed Raiden's lingering presence. Intrigued by ancient relics, he followed Scarlet to a family chapel, where Raiden instructed him to cast a detection spell on a statue. The statue glowed brilliantly before merging with Jionmul's first princess, bestowing her with a divine spear. She collapsed, drained as the light faded. Speaking through Liam, Raiden explained that the armor she now wore enhanced mana using the dragon god's power. Among the 3 dragon-forged armors, the golden one was the strongest, while the others had been lost in war. When Liam asked about their creation, Raiden explained that they began with refined, top-tier mithril. With Scarlet providing the necessary materials, Liam forged new armor, which Scarlet then awakened with her blood. Testing its power, she fired a holy arrow, while Raiden compared high-tier relics to living beings, much like demon swords. Inspired, Liam bound the armor with a familiar contract, naming it Eris, the war commander. Now fully empowered, Scarlet hurled a holy spear, toppling trees in its path. Raiden recalled crafting a guardian artifact during the 3 Dragons' War, but never turning it into a familiar. Liam requested permission to experiment, and Raiden agreed. Approaching the statue, Liam sensed its awareness and offered his blood, forming a contract. The moment he donned the armor, a surge of power coursed through him. Testing his magic, he managed to unleash 37 magic missiles, far beyond his usual limit, before the armor drained his mana and fell dormant. Raiden revealed that Liam was only the 3rd person to survive wearing it, and the first to successfully cast a spell while doing so. Convinced of Liam's potential, Raiden believed he had the power to master the armor and reshape the world. This then marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach our current goal of 20,000 subscribers.